said, we are coming now to. Can you hear me now? No. Now it's working? Okay. That's a good example of that's like what I'm going to talk about. I did not plan for that. This was not a plan, but there is nothing you cannot control everything in life, right? And here is an example of you do everything and things goes out of control, you know? None of us like to feel this way, but just reminding us about that's the reality about life. You can do whatever you plan and do everything and try to be perfect as much as, and good luck with that. So, and this is an example. This the Lord is teaching us. Really, I did not plan that, but just that's out of the moment. Fit exactly with the message that I'm going to teach you about today. As this psalmist is really, many scholars wonder about if this is really about David's life or about sometimes later. And we know many of these psalms, they were written after exile, so which means that's a lot longer after David's time. But if you read this psalm today, that's when he talks about himself being quite a peaceful child between his mother's arms. A lot of people say this psalm could be really more meaningful if you understand the story that happens in David's life. Many of us today will romanticize about David as being the King David, the victorious David, David who can do everything and do all of that. But really, this is not the whole image. That's part of the image that maybe we like to deceive ourselves looking at this part and not looking. There is other dark side of David's life. There are other sad part of his life that we need also to remember. You do not need to stick with the dark side or with the most romantic, wonderful side of David. But really, God wants us to see the whole picture. David is about the moments when he was very down and very poor and feel like hopeless. And also the guy who wrote all these wonderful psalms that inspired himself as keeping inspire the whole world today. One important story about David that I want to remind you, that David was the weakest, the last one to be known in his family. I don't know how much of us I know as Christian, unfortunately, sometimes we are not good on to remember our story in the Old Testament. And I do not like to feel like I'm teaching another Sunday school, but this is really, we have to know it because it will make us understand where this is coming from. So David, the way he was chosen to be the new king, that God told Saul, the first king of the Israelites, that you are done, you are the bad guy, we have to find another one. So God told Samuel was the last prophet that was kind of like really running the country as the religious leader. And God told prophet, you go to this house, to this man, and you will find a son. He has many sons, but one of them will be the chosen one to be the next king. And he went, and the father, he told him, God chose one of your sons. The father was so happy. So he brought them the oldest one. He was the oldest and the strongest and masculine and all of that. He's a good fit. And Saul said, nope, that's not this one. He bring the second one. He said, nope, this is not this one. So he goes down. They said, like, I have nobody else. It's done. This is all my kids. He forgot he had the youngest child. He was shorter. He's not like in a great look compared to his brothers. He was not the most strong one physically. Compared to his brother, he was forgotten by his own father. And father said, oh, I forgot. I have one that's in the field. He's taking care of the sheep. His own father did not see him. He could not be the promised one. So see the dynamic of a family that his own father see him. He's the last one. He's the least one. He's not the most fit one compared to his brothers. But God said, I choose you. And surprised his own family. And another story that tells us maybe if we understand where David was coming from, then the sound that's really when he tried to say, when I am defeated, I throw myself in God's arms. And also when I walk on the clouds, I remind myself I am nothing except I am God's product. And this is what David is trying to say. All as human, we are between these two moments. The moments when we feel like we are walking on the clouds and things are good. And we can do whatever. Go and get it. This mentality like, I can do everything, I can get everything I want. But the reality is, what do you do when life sometimes feels like a slab on your face? When you do everything you want and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. So this David story is a wonderful comparison between life is not about one side, of the victorious side or the defeated side. But life is between all of these things. And you will have moments of this. So David is reminding himself of these moments when he was like nothing, forgotten by his own family. He does not score good compared to his brothers. But God will say, you are chosen because I see your heart. I know I'll stand by you, and tomorrow you're going to do bad things, David, I know. And I'm not going to leave you. Chosen one doesn't mean the perfect one. One of the wonderful verse in the Bible, God described David about his favor because of his heart. David did terrible things. David almost like a criminal, if we want to call him in our day today. But God was looking at the heart that is willing to turn around and try to say, you cannot stain stains in your life because you are not your God. Your heart belongs to God. When God talks about God, good hearts, He's not talking about the perfect hearts, the one with no mistakes and no problems and perfect one. That's our imagination. When God talks about good heart, God talks about the heart that could not carry problems inside it. The heart that cannot anymore do sins like drinking water. The Bible in the Old Testament say sinner, the difference between sinners and believer is not believers, they are the perfect one, the healthy one. No. They say they are the same, but the difference is one, when they sin, they are like drinking water. Is nothing easier than drinking water, right? It's easy, simple, drink water. But they say when you turn your heart to God, when you do sins, you are putting fire. So imagine like you are putting fire into your body. So there is a sense of rejection that does not anymore match my new identity. So then I am not afraid that as I'm preaching and try to teach you and I'm going to do bad things or do things around. But the point is, God is saying you're not going to be consumed by your bad actions. You're not anymore going to live in dirt and feeling that's a good life because dirt is good. You're going to feel iffy and sticky and not being happy until you get out of the dirt around you. This is the good heart that God wants for you and me. It's not the perfect heart. It's the heart that's always try like every time you get a dirt on you, you shake it and you throw it and you move on. You shake it and you throw it and you move on. This is the kind of heart David is teaching us today. The heart that does not deceive by good moments of life. When it feels like, okay, things are good. I'm getting toward my goals. And then God say, remember who is running the show. When you succeed in life, when you get somewhere near or close to what you want in life, God is reminding you who is running the show. We are the easy being that always get arrogant when we get things done. We are the best one who knows how to be satisfied and perfect when we get whatever we dreamed about. But God is always knock on your door and say, remember who is running the show. Who saves me from myself? Who saves me from being proud and arrogant and thinking like I did it by my hand. I did it by my smart heart. I did it by all because nobody can do it like me. Who saves me from this arrogant me? God, but saying, remember. And then He proved it to you the next day when you work very hard and everything goes wrong. You know? And God reminds you who is in charge. What do we do when we feel so upset and we feel like nothing is working in life? On the other side, we're talking about a guy that's over-secured and feel like full of themselves. But also we're talking about the other group of people that feel down and like we try too much. Nothing's working. Life is not worthy. All of these kind of like, God is so far. God does not care. God is like the guy that's sitting on the sky and judge people. Should we feel they're a bad one because they feel this way? But God is saying, I understand that when people suffer and go through bad things, that's what happens. Like what you do, instead of being on the top, you keep falling. And the point is how far you can fall. And God has come and rescue you from hitting. And I always remember when I complain or somebody else complain, I say, it could be worse. It actually could be worse. How do we know? We never know until we hit worse, right? We complain about one thing, and then we say, oh, well, what I was complaining about yesterday, that was actually a gift, Today, I'm complaining because I am encountering another level of falling. There is a fall, but this is another level of fall. And God's miracle of saying, I do not let you be eaten by the fire, keep falling. I can make you hit bottom and say, once you hit bottom, you're going to start up again. This is the kind of God that works in our life. And He sees those who are sitting there on the clouds on the top of the mountain, falling themselves, and He feels bad for them. God is saying, you are the product that you're going to live these two moments. You can encounter these moments on the same day. You can feel like you think's good and great and life is great, and I am the master of the scene. And also you could feel in the same day like everything is falling apart. Who protect me from myself? And this is the message. This is the harbor of peace. Where can I go? I can run away from everybody, but how can I run away from myself? How can I run away from the person that I go and put my head on the pillow? That's me. That's not somebody else. It's not your friend. It's not your partners. It's you. What can you do with that? And that's why the wisest thing David saying, I wean myself like a weaned child. I trust you. I throw myself into your arms. So God, Lord, you protect me when I feel like I am walking on the clouds. Protect me from my arrogancy. And also, Lord, when I go through a hard time and feel I'm lonely and I'm powerless, and I feel like there is no hope, there is no way out, save me from my despair. That's why He's saying, save me from all these different extreme feelings that's all humans being encounter. Sometimes in different times of our life, sometimes on the same day. So this guy is telling us, try to be perfect. And I'm telling you from my story as David. I have moments when I sat on the throne and I was able to send people to be killed and do whatever and get the woman that I want to get, and I did not care about anybody else. But also I was the one that was forgotten by my own father. I was the one that my own father did not see me worthy of being chosen by God. This is David, this two wonderful story, the powerful one but corrupted, but also the humble little guy that's his like, I'm just a simple guy. I'm a guy just taking care of sheep in the field, and nobody knows where I am or what I'm doing. But I'm enjoying my life as a little guy. These stories of David to remind us, he's an example for all of us. What should we do, Lord? Where should we go when we encounter this moment? The moment of feeling like keep falling in life, or the moment where we feel like we are on the clouds up there. What should we do? And all of these, the psalmist is reminding us, the only way to save yourself is to throw yourself like a child who trusted his own mother, is not thinking about what may happen tomorrow or not. And the culture that we live here today, it's culture to remind us about as much as you gain, the much you have material things, that you're going to feel secure. But the reality is, Power does not make you secure. Power makes you more hungry for power. Money makes you more hungry for more money. A good position, there is always a better position than one you have, There is always better. There is always better. So what's the point? Why are we human like we are running behind things, and every time we feel like, okay, I got the way where I can be satisfied. And every time you feel you catch it, and you open your hands, no, I'm not really satisfied. Name it, whatever these kind of material things around you. And then we should ask ourselves, why are we keep chasing all these things? And instead of feeling full and satisfied, we are more hungry for something. What are we hungry for? God is not saying us, oh, live like a poor people and do not enjoy life and go live in a cave. Not at all. God wants us to enjoy life, and there is many wonderful gifts around. But the difference, if you put your faith in whatever you are chasing, if it's some money or a position or a person, whatever, because once you get it, it will be boring things. You got it, it's done. But if it's really you enjoy life and know that the source of all the pleasure and the source of all good things is not because whatever you got, because the person that's behind the scene. He's going to make you enjoy it and not be destroyed by it. He make you to enjoy the little things and not being eaten by, oh, I got it, now it's boring life. What else? Who saves me from myself? Who saves me from chasing the wrong desires, the wrong materials? Who saves me from being all the time, even people will just feel jealous of whatever you have. But you, when you sit by yourself, you feel down and bored and not motivated. Who saves me from myself? This is the message of the Lord. And I'm going to close with you about a story that I encountered in the seminary about really how to live between these moments. The moment of to be humble when life humiliates you sometimes, and also the moment when you feel like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing, and I think I have a good grab of life. So we in the seminary, they used to train us every Tuesday on how to preach. That was the most torturing thing that we used to do. Okay? So, and as a young person, when you go to the seminary, the first year, you just watch every Tuesday. We know all our brothers, they used to have nightmares on the Mondays, worrying about what's going to happen on Tuesday morning class. The way it's happened, then you preach, but the professors are sitting next here, and your fellow students sitting there watching of the drama that's going to happen there. And you have all the professors, everyone is actually taking notes, whatever. So one is measuring, if you are reading from the New Testament, about your knowledge of Greek. If you are reading from the Old Testament, they're talking about your knowledge of using the Hebrew. So the exegesis. One is watching your body language, your hands, all the moves and all the speech thing. So just the feeling of like you're under exam, everybody's so nervous about it. And the first one we just said, I was on first year watching there and worry about my next year will be me. I'm going to be tortured this way. So everybody, one story that's really stuck in my head, I want to share it with you, was an excellent student. He was an excellent preacher. And everybody knows this guy like walks on the water. We know him like, he's an A student. He gets everything great. And we used to be in a very small chapel in a humble way. At this time, we did not use computer. Normally we'll write on small cards. We'll write your notes, and you have like cards number 1, 2, and you know what you're going to say. So he was sitting like in a pulpit like this in a small chapel, and just imagine hot summer Egypt, and there was a little fan above like close to the ceiling. So what happened here is he was really walked, and everybody knows this student is like an excellent. Everybody's going to give him A+ for everything he's saying. So something happened. He was walking very, very kind of like, I'll say, secure of himself. So then he watched, and he started to preach from the first one. And somehow the fan just spun up because it was hot. somehow messed up his papers. So his papers was messed up. He didn't know which one. So he looks, his face turned red, you can tell. He looks so really worried and cannot even understand. And he didn't know which paper he's going after. Everything lost. He forgot about the exegesis of Greek or Hebrew and everything. He almost, like you can tell. So he was so kind of like impressed himself. And he was really kind of like, so the way he walked down, he walked like in a very poor way, like somebody's like ashamed of himself. And all of us students were waiting for the professor to kind of like give him the worst one. Some of the professors were not gentle. They will tell everything. But one really was a wise old professor who really, he thought like this student need a pastoral care, does not need an exegesis. So he told him this sentence that I will never forget. He said, if you climbed up the pulpit the way you came down, you will come down the way you climbed it. So he was telling him, if you walk to the pulpit with a humble heart, knowing that even you are an A student plus, but knowing it's God, not you, walk humbly, then you will walk down with a secure, safe way. Understand that it was good, it was a good message, but not because of me, because of Lord who was there speaking through me. And I said this is an example of what we are. We all have these moments in our life. And we understand that one moment we like to feel like we can do everything. But remember that God is behind the scene when you are walking on the clouds. And also God is behind the scene when you are humiliated by life. And in all these moments, God is present and active. And He say, I love you. Can you hear me? I love you. Can you understand me? So put all your arrogancy and ignorancy down so you can hear me. Amen? Thank you.
If anyone has any prayer requests, concerns, joys, raise your hand. I'll bring the mic out to you.